Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm responding to the response that was given by the user Ahmed's Quran 3. Now first off, I would like to thank the user for responding to one of my videos. It's an honor that he rebutted me, and I therefore making this rebuttal to his rebuttal. The topic, just to give a quick background, was I responded to one of his videos that he made a while ago about the alleged he alleges that Muhammad was not illiterate, and I made a response to that, and this is his response to that video of mine. Now I wrote down the points that you made in your response, so I'm going to go through them. First off, you say this is going to be your first and last rebuttal to me, so I thank you for at least taking the time to make one. And I agree with you. You make the statement that people are free to use their thinking, to investigate, and to try and find information on their own, and I completely agree with that. I second that, and I appreciate that you mentioned that, and I feel like I do that myself by going through and looking at resources that I have here at home or on the web and making sure that they're authentic and things of this nature. So I also encourage my viewers and your viewers alike to continue the dialogue and to do research in that spirit of seeking the truth. You say that that Muslims' only goal is to deceive people. Now, this is where I'm confused, because you just said in your video that you encourage people to do research, but then you discredit every Muslim scholar. You say don't actually look at what Muslim scholars have to say, because they're just going to deceive you. So in a way, you just contradicted yourself. You encourage your viewers to do research, but don't actually ask Muslims about it. Don't go to Muslim scholars. And I find that very, very disingenuous on your part, and I find that very deceptive on your part, because you're basically cornering your viewers into saying, just listen to me. Don't do any of your own research with regards to actually talking to Muslims or Muslim scholars. I find that very, very disingenuous on your part. You're right, I'm not an Arab speaker. I'm not. I don't pretend to be. So thank you for that. You did say that it was poetry, and I don't know if it was you specifically or it was the guy who comes in about 2 minutes and introduces you. You did actually allege, you said the Quran has poetry. You did say that. Then you mentioned that it has historical, grammatical, and theological errors. Okay, yeah, so you use those sweeping statements. Again, you give no evidence, but you actually say your past videos are your evidence, so I'll give you that. But then again, it's such a sweeping generalization. You say that Muslim scholars are irrelevant. Again, you're doing this thing where you say that, don't listen to Muslim scholars. Anything, if anyone brings quotations from Muslim scholars, it's irrelevant. Again, you're limiting the playing field for yourself to make you look better, and I really think that's a really, really weak tactic when you're discussing certain information. If you're going to talk about Islam, you're going to, of course, look at what Muslim scholars have to say. If you're going to talk about Christianity, look at what Christian priests or scholars have to say. Same with Judaism, same with any religion or ideology. You should always look at what the people, the members of that faith have to say, but of course, look at neutral parties as well, because everyone's going to be biased. But don't just discredit Muslim scholars as irrelevant. That really shows your argument is actually very weak, I would argue. And I don't think it's a weak thing to request references. I think that it's a valid request to ask for references. If anyone is going just to say a point and not give references, I think that shows a weak argument. I think it's valid to ask you where you're getting that from. So please don't mock me if I ask you for references. Then you actually spend the majority of your video trying to prove that Muhammad plagiarized from Imam Qais, the Arab poet, and you give certain surahs and ayahs to that effect. I'm going to post a link to 2 websites, and I recommend everybody look at these 2 websites. One is IslamicAwareness.org, and they show that the theory that the Muhammad plagiarized from Imam Qais is a fabrication, and they show it from Dr. Tisdale's own book. He's the Orientalist that first came upon the subject. And he later on ratified his theory and said that he was wrong in saying that Muhammad plagiarized from Imam Qais, and that he says this is actually a false story. In fact, he says the story that you quoted, sir, in your video, that Fatima was reciting some of the Quran, and the daughter of Imam Qais heard the poetry, or heard the verses and said, hey, your father plagiarized from my father. Dr. Tisdale, who was the first Orientalist to say that this is authentic, later on says this is false. So I encourage all my viewers, everyone who's watching this video, to look at IslamicAwareness.org and see how he exposes the lie and the fabrication of the story that Muhammad plagiarized from Ibn Qais. Also, I'm going to post a link from Sam Shamon. Now, at this point, many of my viewers are going to say, "What? You're posting a link to Sam Shamon's AnsweringIslam.org? What's wrong with you, Ozzy?" No. Actually, I have to give Sam Shamon some credit on this. Sam Shamon, in his own article, admits that Muhammad did not plagiarize from Ibn Qais. So now you have IslamicAwareness.org, who's defending Islam, saying it's false, and you have a guy who tries to show Islam as a false religion, saying that that is also false. So therefore, sir, I would have to say that your information is indeed false. You then mention that the hadith of Muhammad asking for a pen and paper shows he could read or write. That again is that's your own interpretation. You have no evidence for that, and the hadith stops before anyone could give him a pen and paper. And you mentioned that famous people had scribes and things of this nature, and that they didn't have to always ask someone for pen or paper. Well, the thing is that's a very flawed parallel. Who's to say if I am a person who wants someone to write something for me, there's nothing wrong in me saying, scribe, fetch me a pen or paper, or give me a pen or paper so you can write this, all right? But even when we discredit all of that, the idea that you say, the fact that he asked for pen and paper shows that he could read or write, is a flawed analogy. Because if I say, hey, someone give me a bow and arrow, and I request someone bring me a bow and arrow, but they don't get around to bringing me the bow and arrow. Someone writes down that Ozzycda asked person A to bring him a bow and arrow, and then from that they deduce that I was an expert marksman, or that I knew how to use the bow and arrow. There is no evidence for that, and so your analogy, your exegy on that hadith is very flawed and very false. You then whine about how you quote certain hadiths from Sunan Abi-Dawud or Tirmidi, and you say that, oh, the Muhammadan Muslims, they say that we can't do that because they're not authentic, and you say we only quote from the 6 canonical hadith collections. I agree with you that in Sunni Islam there are 6 collections that are considered to be legit hadith collections, but you need to understand the science of hadith. There are only 2 of those hadith collections out of the 6 that are considered authentic. That is Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. The other ones are not considered authentic. Are there certain hadiths that are authentic, are Sahih, because they do show up in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim? Yes. But the hadiths you quoted from Sunan Abi-Dawud and Sunan al-Tirmidhi are not in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, and so therefore they are not authentic according to the science of hadith. And so therefore you are wrong in presenting all 6 collections as canonical and saying that all of them are equal. They are not, sir. You are not representing Islam's view of their own scriptures in the correct light. You then say that we can never know the psychology of any man. That how are we to know anyone's mind? And I agree with you. It's impossible to know what exactly is going through anyone's mind throughout all of history or even today. And so therefore, you say that therefore Muhammad deceived his companions and his wives. Again, this is just your conjecture. You have no proof for this. You are just trying to show that he did deceive his companions and his wives, but you have no proof of that. The Jews say that Jesus was a liar and deceiver. So does that mean that therefore we should discredit Jesus because we don't know what was going on in Jesus' mind? Again, it's a very weak argument. You then say that the Quran discredits predestination, or the theory of predestination in Islam discredits the Quran. Again, I don't think you understand the idea of predestination and free will in Islam. You have not shown that you actually understand that. And to end, you say that the Muslim community should be thankful that I'm here, that I'm among them to talk to you about these things. And actually, I would rather say that I am thankful. I'm the one to be thankful that I have many people, that I have my subscribers that watch my videos, and I have other people who are willing to seek the truth. So I don't take any credit for this. It is not me that they should be thankful. It is I that should be thankful for them. That my subscribers support me, and that there are people on here that are willing to seek the truth and will not go to these lows to fabricate and not represent a religion of 1.7 billion people in such a disingenuous way. So with that said, I thank you for your rebuttal. This is my response to you. Peace and blessings be with you all.